So it's not like your behavior. It's more likely that emotional outbursts are going to be more common, not less, because there's less fear, less inhibition. Because self really is inhibition. Protection. I'm keeping myself safe from, well, not just humiliation, but that's a big part of it.
It was almost like the game used to represent something about me if I lost, right? It's a reflection. I didn't perform well. I'm a failure. Now it's so light and free that I'm like, okay, let's go again. MF, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Because it's not taken seriously.
No.
It's a big.
Yeah.
Although, would you say that the anger and the frustration of screwing up, when you come back, say your next shot, is more, would you say it's more unlikely to be a shit shot because now you're all focused?
Now you're trying to make it really positive.
Well, I get
I get that.
I'm trying to find a use.
No, and you push me and I'd say yes. I would say yes.
Yeah.
I mean, so what?
Yeah, so what?
So what?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I mean, it's all rubbish because it's only in comparison. I have to try and remember how it was. Without the memory of how it was.
No, but
of course it's not, is it?
Sure.
But yeah, if you say
that the humiliation can be such that.
Well, what I find with all emotion, with all feeling, it passes so quickly. Incredibly.
Okay.
Almost doesn't have any time span at all.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Not with all, but it is worth talking about, and yet it's not. Because it's still, if that sounds like okay, so
well, then we're on. I'm definitely. I can feel that I'm on the train to find utility.
Yes, of course, and there is none.
Yeah.
But I mean, not every speaker of non-duality would admit this, but if I didn't feel this, benefit's the wrong word, but if this didn't feel loving, I wouldn't speak of it. Yeah. And it really does, in a way that nothing else does at all. Anything that suggests that you could become doesn't feel loving anymore. Not in the way that it used to, because that seemed the loving thing to do. Yeah. Because any becoming is a rejection of what is to what could be. So there's some and it's not that that's not loving. It's not compassionate, really. And yet that's what most human beings refer to as compassion. You're in distress or you're in pain, and I can help you alleviate your suffering. That's what's normally referred to as compassion.
Yes.
And yet, really, it's not, because what are you saying? You're at fault. What we refer to as compassionate helping really is only confirming that there's something wrong with you.
But that's not to say that there isn't a desire for excellence in that in whatever field you're doing, whether it's playing golf or even speaking about non-duality.
Yeah.
You made me laugh the other day. I watched the session where you said you had been caught watching yourself. And then I made me laugh because
so shameful.
But that's not to say, I mean, we're talking about this as if lying on the couch, you know, all motivation or I should say ambition is gone up in smoke. And however, if you're doing something that is benefiting other people in some way, then the more you attune yourself to deliver the message in a way that does help people, that desire to articulate as well as you can is.
Yeah, it's yes and no, because if I listen to myself, there's absolutely no criticism. It couldn't be improved. I just think it's glorious. I mean, how outrageous. Just in the way of if I watch, I don't know, a musician, or an actor, and I adore that performance. It's like that. And there's no criticism in that. There's no analysis of it at all. So that might sound, so I'd listen to myself and I go, oh, that's good. That's not so good. Right. Maybe I'd say that in a different way. That doesn't happen. So if I listen to myself, it's not for improvement.
Okay.
At all.
Right.
Not one bit. Which is, I didn't realize that till you just said that, and it's just so obvious that that's not it. I just love listening to myself. Yeah. Seriously, I mean, here's the thing. This isn't about self-love, of course, but what you called yourself is all that you've ever known. It's not yours. You've never known anything else. So this whole Advaita, this self with a capital S, I don't speak in that way at all because it sounds so confusing. But what you have called you is all there is. There's nothing outside or inside. I mean, all the cliched Advaita, I am that. It's just that it's not you that are that. There is only that, which is only this. I mean, I think it's much simpler than Advaita. I mean, talk about make it complex. It was unfathomable to me. I really tried with all the Advaita stuff, but I just get so lost. Whereas there is only this, which is what you called yourself, and because you said it was yours, then of course there's other than you. That's all. That is all that's being spoken about. Is that the only illusion is that there is you that you've called yourself, which is separate from everything else. This whole notion that there is a subject observing objects. It's not how this actually appears. This appears whole and complete without any division. So you can still objectify, but it's really obvious that that's made up. We're making up the whole story.
Yeah, and it's only our story that we know.
You will never know another story. You will know of the story that they tell you. You won't know that story. There really isn't that story.
Right.
No. What do you know of another story? What they've told you. And what they've told you is just part of your story. What you've called your story, which is the story. So there is only the story. This is void without the story. This is absolutely empty. There is only the story. So by making the story a problem, you know, the negation of the story, this is nothing. There's simply nothing outside. And with there's nothing outside, there's nothing inside. Inside only exists because of outside. So this is completely empty inside, completely empty outside. And then that's the fullness. One of the reasons I might refer to this as liberation is you won't ever think that someone else's story is better than yours.
Right.
Which of course, that's where I live, don't I? I live in the comparison of my story to the others. That's where I exist, I can say. Whereas the other stories aren't theirs. And they're not yours. They're not precious anymore in a way. You know the preciousness? How precious am I about my soul, right? God. God. So precious.
Yes, but then there's also this kind of spiritual kind of bubble, the one that I live in, that my own story, I haven't. There are still semblances of my story that I engage other people with, that I look through my the way what you just said. I haven't quite let go of the importance of my story.
No, you can't do that. So you are.
Right.
You won't do that.
Okay.
Yes, though, maybe you're never going to do that. You won't have any idea about anything. You just have ideas.
Yeah.
The ideas don't. You won't have any idea which ones are true, which ones are false, which ones are closer to the truth, which ones are real, which ones are unreal. All of that will lose all its meaning. So you self won't get near that. Most of all, you won't know who you are. You won't know what you are. That's what we're speaking.
And I won't care that I don't know.
No, there will be no one to care.
Right. Right.
That's the liberation. There's It's absolutely, I mean, what self pretends is that's what I want. I'd like that. You won't fucking like it. There'll be no one to like it or dislike it. That's not what you want. I have to be there. Otherwise, you know, this all for nothing. And look how hard I've tried. I thought the tears would never end for Tim and his effort to attain. He had no idea what he wanted to attain. Really, he just wanted to have some rest, really, to be free from this, what you could call suffering, but which I could only imagine was me. It wasn't. There's no me to lose. It's such a joke. You will never lose yourself. Don't be ridiculous. You know this already. How would you lose yourself? I mean, there's nothing more stupid, is there? The whole spiritual search is such a farce. Don't tell the one to do it. You're really, I mean, because it's almost more sacred. Because self is more sacred than God. What self holds most dear is self. There's no doubt about that. And self has made up God. And self made God in his own image. Really. The great omnipotent, omniscient self. What self doesn't want that? Yeah, all powerful. More power. You can't pretend that you want powerlessness. It's not what self. Self is the illusion of power, of personal volition, personal autonomy, free will, move my own destiny. Manifest what I wish to be manifest.
Create.
Shit, that sells.
Books, tapes, CDs? Yes.
I mean, you know, I said there's more non-duality speakers. How many speakers are speaking about manifestation? It's funny, I'm not even anti. It's funny, I was very anti. When I was a non-duality student, I would have called myself. When I was a seeker, most would say, but I felt I was a student. I was learning it. I was really very anti that because I was that. That all goes. I don't have a problem with that. It's seen as it's like inevitable. Self would want to be a bigger self, a grander, you know, to make myself right. And that's all of that. And to get what I want.
It's I've got children and I know you have too, and
Yeah.
there's this kind of double-edged sword about what we're talking about here, because on the one hand, I want them to develop a self to where they feel empowered.
Oh yeah. Me too.
And
I mean, I don't concern myself with it because it's all inevitable.
yes,
I mean, well, do you know any children who don't develop a sense of self?
no.
I
So
don't.
it's going to happen. And
Yeah. So it can feel like a dilemma. Does it feel a bit of a dilemma?
it does, because I find myself saying, yes, you did that, you did that, you know, and it's just this, I'm a cheerleader for them, but at the same time, I can see that it's looking at my own journey, I don't believe in it.
No,
So
No,
I
it's-
don't believe in it.
but it's funny because it's not, because I don't believe in it. I don't disbelieve in it. So that's, I mean, it's a funny, it's a strange thing. Because I would be just the same. I'd go to my kids' football practice
Mm.
and I would be, when Alfie comes off, I would say, oh, that was great when you beat that player, or you great tackle.
Mhm.
Yeah, come on. It's natural.
Yes.
There's no, it might sound like there'd be some conflict in that. There isn't at all.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, talking about the benefits, I'm not in the least, I'm way more hands off than I was.
Yeah.
Than I would have been,
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Which, to the chagrin of my wife sometimes,
Yeah.
but, I think as long as you're there when they really truly need you to be there.
Yeah, you don't have to concern yourself with that, because of course
Well,
you would be.
yes, that's it's another stick to beat oneself.
Yeah,
But it's the system, I don't believe in the educational system anyway, and I never did. And so this message definitely, I resonated with it because I never believed in the work anyway, in this, the hamster on the wheel anyway, because I saw it for what it was.
yeah.
And so now I'm stuffing them through the sausage factory, you
Yeah.
know, and that doesn't feel great.
No,
It's the system.
so well, that's all very familiar to me.
Yeah. So there is a conflict in interests in the sense that, okay, everybody else is doing it, I'm going to do it as well,
Yeah,
rather than homeschool, which I'd be absolutely useless at. So
yeah. Well, I'd be too late. I'd be dreadful. I mean, I'm qualified. Not anymore, really. I just couldn't be bothered.
yeah, that's no.
I just say, what do you fancy doing?
Put some Netflix on.
What do you fancy? There you go. Can we play on the Xbox? Yeah. Kick a football. Play on the Xbox. Eat some crisps. Go for a swim.
I go through the same thing with my kids,
Yeah.
but, well, I don't know how old your kids are. Mine are 13 and 15 now.
Well, I've got 14 and 11.
Okay. And now I just sort of do just say a lot, hey, this is just the system. One really likes the system, really likes it. And the other one is sort of like, why are we doing this?
Mm.
And I just sort of, we talk about it. I go, look, you want to be homeschooled? No. I mean, it's like, we do just sort of talk about how we might navigate in it. And I just say, what are your options now? And I used to be sick because my parents were big academic people in the university. And oh my God, this character here was so big on everyone must go to college. I mean, that's just what you do. And now I'm just like, look, you don't have to, but here's what might happen if you don't. Here's what it might look like if you, maybe, I don't even know. But so we just talk a lot about it. And something about saying that, look, I don't know, we're all just part of this, no one's to blame. It's very organic how it all evolved, in my opinion. It seems to work for them. It felt awkward to hide what I was thinking about it and just put them in the machine.
Yes.
So I don't hide that anymore. And they seem to be aware of it. That, yeah,
You're being honest.
yeah. Yeah. So much comes down to preference, it seems. You know,
What do you mean with that?
but just like, yes, it's just this system, but I would prefer you go to school all day than me be home.
Yes.
You know, it's like, it just becomes a preference. You know,
Yeah.
not better or worse. Just preference.
Well, talk about self-conscious though, when you're at that age.
Oh, yeah.
About the hair.
Well, look, they've got hair like yours,
Oh,
so I
man.
can see what.
Yeah, that's where we got it.
That's great hair. And kids, it can be deceiving because like my one son seems so not self-conscious at all, like appears to be. But then we go to the open house at the school. I mean, he had to walk 10 feet in front of me because he's that self-conscious of. So, you know, you sort of think that like, oh, they don't have much of a self. And they're like, nah. Yeah.
And it interests me also is that the age of us here, we're getting up there, and yet, and it makes me think as to whether the youth of humanity, and being a human as a young person, you're kind of fired out of the cannon, and you have this kind of, all-absorbing. What is ahead of me, and I am going to grab life by the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
And so therefore a message like this, I would imagine, has much less likelihood of landing. Although I don't know.
Well, yeah, you would guess so. And if I was looking at the average age of non-duality audience, then yeah, that would be a problem. But then there's a lot of young people.
Yes.
Not as many, but there are some. Yeah, and there's quite a few young speakers,
Yes.
which is even more surprising.
Incredible.
And yet not. Because of course there's no rules about anything. You know, so this isn't anything to do with age.
No, but the who gives a fuckness,
Yeah.
is, that tends to come with age anyway.
Well, and like I said, if I was giving a path, then it would seem as a stereotype. Failure, humiliation, failure again, more failure. And of course, mostly disillusionment. Probably my favorite word. If I could give That
Mm,
if I could give disillusionment,
mm,
there we have it.
mm.
What are we talking about? We're talking about disillusionment, not enlightenment. There is no enlightenment. There's only light, for fuck's sake, which is dark. There can be no enlightenment, but there can be seeming disillusionment. And in the seeming absence of illusion,
Disillusionment doesn't even make any sense to me anymore because everything is an illusion. So how can you have disillusionment?
well,
What you
no,
have is an acceptance that everything is an illusion, which isn't the same as disillusionment.
no, I have no sense of everything is an illusion.
Really?
No, I don't say that. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I would say everything is absolutely real. It's quite the contrary. This is completely real. And equally, completely unreal.
Mhm.
That's not illusion. The only illusion that I speak of is me.
The illusion that there's something to get from this.
So the illusion is
Sure.
me, and
Yeah.
with me comes time and space and objects. So I would say the only illusion is me, is the sense of separation. And with that, everything else is real, which is future, past, my life, your life, separate lives, separate objects. All of that comes from the sense of separation, comes from this sense of being me. That's
Right,
the
for sure.
illusion.
Yeah.
Not,
Right.
not this. This is all there is.
Right.
So if real means anything, it doesn't. But if we're going to use the word real, then this is completely real. It's the only reality. So if we're going to talk about real, this is real. The illusion is anything you say about it. Every word that comes out of my mouth is bullshit, as it is equally from any other human being. But that's real. It's real bullshit. As real as anything could be. No, it's not illusory. The illusion is that I know what it is. That's all it is. But not what is. It's just that what is can't be known. Whatever you say about it is also it. Not about it. There isn't an about this. Isn't that incredible? I mean, it's just so wonderful. There's no possibility of saying anything wrong or right about this. The freedom to speak about this, the reason I find it so easy, it's utterly effortless, it's because I don't think anything I say is right. If I for a moment thought that I could teach you this and that I needed to get, you know, when you said about watching myself, or the effect, it's just, it doesn't appear because it's nonsense. I mean, this disappears as it appears. So this is so utterly free. I mean, essentially nothing matters at all. But the whole sense, the traditional sense that this is all illusory, Maya, whatever advisor shit you listen to. I can't help but say that because I just think, well, talk about miss the point. The only point is that there is no point. Now, as soon as you're talking about this is illusory, then of course you can only then be seeking the truth. What is really real? And you could say that was my search. I wanted to really know what was really real. Not what was relatively real. That's what I already knew. I already knew that. I was a know-all. Self is a know-all. I know what I know. But that's not enough. I want to know it all. Absolutely. Well, there's nothing to know. But you can know an infinite amount of useless knowledge. How lovely. None of it is of any significance whatsoever. It's all beautifully, wonderfully empty of any meaning, significance. Nothing is sacred. Everything is sacred. Nothing is special. Everything is special. But yeah, I don't see illusory. The illusory is, well, there's something else that's real. But there is. Do I know that? I don't. Isn't it obvious? That's all I can say. Isn't this obvious? I couldn't find anything else. You won't find this. So that is the end of the search. And it is like literally, it's redundant, but it's not a strong enough word. There's just nowhere to go. Nowhere to go there. You can imagine where you might go, and that's this imagining going somewhere else. That's all. You can remember what you did earlier today, and that's this remembering earlier today. There's no escape. And if you think about what your path, your journey is only escapism. You can call it, self doesn't necessarily encapsulate or envisage it as escapism, but it is. So all traveling, all journey is all movement. Whereas this doesn't move. And yet it's all movement. There's no traveling. No one's ever traveled. So I'm traveling to England tomorrow. Where's that? And I'll be sitting on the plane tomorrow thinking, hey, I remember. I said, where's that? Here it is.
It's right next to Scotland.
Pardon?
It's right next to Scotland.
That's where it is.
And yet this never moves,
Doesn't move.
right? Because when he gets out, how long is the plane flight back home to England?
11 hours.
Yeah. So on the plane, it'll be this. When the plane lands.
Well, the thing is, you see, it won't be this. Because there isn't a won't be. This never will be.
Yeah.
It never will be this. There is only is. There's no was. There's no will be. Just is. It's far too simple. It's not news. The thing about this revelation, this realization, is no realization at all. You're waiting for something that cannot happen. If you're waiting for something to happen, nothing will ever happen. So that's why it's usually referred to as hopeless, because hoping requires a future that could happen. Nothing could happen. So then you could say you're just left with this. You don't even get this. I mean, it is utter devastation. I mean, it's the annihilation of everything. You don't even get this because, of course, if you try and find this, you won't find it Because it already is. So finding is only somewhere else. So it's not a finding. And I mean, that is rest in peace. Nowhere to go. Which sounds like a dreadful loss to the one who always wanted to get somewhere. But there is no loss. Because there never was anywhere. There never was a place to arrive at. So no arrival sounds awful to me. It always sounded dreadful to me. And I can, because the only way you can imagine is an arrival. When you're arriving, you're not arriving anywhere. Simply because there is nowhere. And it's you can say there's only here, but of course, if there's only here, there's no here. Because here only exists with there. It's the same with, you know, Eckhart's lovely now. There is no now without then. If there's only now, there's no now. Of course not. Now only refers to then. Now only exists in then. Here only exists with there. So there's only here because you can imagine that. So you don't get here or now. So what do you get? Well, you don't get anything. You really don't get anything. But it doesn't matter because there's never anything to get. I mean, that's the bit that passes will understand. That doesn't make sense. It's never going to make sense to you. It's never going to make sense to anyone. And the wonder is it doesn't need to make sense because it is.
Yeah. No, I gotcha.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, lovely to see you.
Really nice.
What was your name again?
Alan.
Aaron.
Alan,
Alan, love to meet you, Alan.
really love you. Appreciate it. Have to run, everybody. Have a great night.
Cheers, Alan.
Cheers.
Thanks again. Have a good flight home.
Mhm.
Watch lots of good movies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
My pleasure.
I'll be in touch with you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll want to have you up, okay? Be great. Be great. And or Indian food, okay?
Michael,
Bye, Tracy.
Good to
So
see
good
you.
to see you too.
yeah, let me know when it is, what's going on. Hey.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody online. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot, Michael and Tim and everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, guys. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Right. Be well.
One of these days.